Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So let's begin our journey into your good work by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was raging. So many things changed for all of us. How did you survive the pandemic of 2020, and how is it radiated into your work and world in 2025?
I did 3 cartwheels a day, and I did 3 cartwheels this morning. I realized that the world was changing radically around me, and I had no idea how to take control of it.
Yep.
And I said, I need to double down and figure out what gives me joy. So that's how I started each day,
Yeah,
literally.
sure.
Now, beyond that, what did I do besides the 3 cartwheels a day? I took a long, hard look at what was going on in my life and realized that basically everyone's life, in my opinion, has three main pillars: what you do all day professionally, or with your time,
Yeah,
who you're with, if you're with somebody, or your immediate family, and where you live.
yeah, yeah,
Everything else is kind of around that.
yeah.
And I realized that I had two of those three stools super in place, but I didn't. I love who I'm with. I loved where I was living. We moved into our dream house, but I did not like how I was spending my time.
Gotcha.
And so I started really digging deep into what I wanted to be doing career wise. Ultimately, made a very large career change during the pandemic, left the corporate world, and went back to school to become a therapist.
Okay.
And I am now a therapist, and I worked with a career coach to help me make that change. It transformed my whole life, and now I'm a coach that helps others as well.
How long were you in the corporate world?
I started my career in education. I was a teacher for 8 years,
Okay.
and then I did a pivot, my first pivot, and I was in the startup and corporate world for about 8 years as well.
So if I was to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds, kids always get the truth out of us, and it's career day, and one of the kids is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer to them right now?
I help people figure out how to be better versions of themselves.
How do we get so lost?
A very big question. Um, I'll answer it in two different ways. I think one is we stop listening to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think two is we start looking outwards instead of inwards when we're lost.
Yeah. What did you want to be when you were 12 years old? What was your dream job?
I wanted to be the president of the United States.
Okay. So did you ever pursue anything politically? Yeah.
So I was just telling a client that in my middle school hallway, there was a big mirror and it said underneath it, possible future president of the United States. And I would walk by it every day and be like, yep, that's definitely gonna be me. That's definitely gonna be me. I did pursue student government in high school and in college a bit. And then when I sort of settled down professionally, um, I live in Boston, and I joined a few local boards and sort of kind of tried to get a flavor of politics. I would joke 50% of me wants to be the mayor of the city and 50% wants to relax and watch Netflix at the end of the day. And the two are always competing with each other, but that is life. To answer your question, I got into a room and thought, this is so dull to me.
Yeah.
And then I had to release all my judgment. About 4 years ago, I was listening to Barack Obama's autobiography and I had to turn it off. It was actually a reminder of the things I didn't do, but wanted to do professionally.
Yeah.
And I was working with my own coach, as I said at the time. And she said, but let's dig deeper. What parts of it is what you want to do or
Yeah.
what you want to do? Oh, you want to lead people. Okay, but not in a dull press conference kind of way.
Yep.
So it was really about transitioning and reassessing my skills to not be president of the United States, but to be president of my own organization that I run and
Yeah.
to be in a place of what did I really want to do as president? I wanted to create impact. That's
Yeah.
what I still want to do.
Yeah. What were these foundational elements? Take me back to where you were born and raised. What were these elements and traits that were interwoven into you that have developed into you finding your way, finding your path, having a successful career? How did all of these things kind of evolve into who you are today?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in there. I was raised in New Jersey. I grew up in a very culturally, racially, and religiously diverse town, and I loved it. And for me personally, the idea of difference creates change, difference creates introspection was embedded in me very early. Um, I, I want to credit my parents. My mom's a very entrepreneurial person. She had like a million different things going on all of the time. My dad was a very, very steady person. Same job. He calls himself a dinosaur. He had the same job for 30 years. And in my own marriage, I've recreated some of those dynamics. And um, and I just grew up with a lot of possibility. I want to be the future president of the United States. Okay, great. Let's get you. How do you become involved in student government, right? So I had a lot of support. Um, and I also had like anybody else, I had challenges. Um, I'll share this. I sometimes share this. When I was a junior in high school, because you just asked me about my core upbringing,
Yeah,
I um I really wanted to make the varsity lacrosse team.
yeah,
I'm an athlete, and I always have been. And but I didn't start playing lacrosse until later. Many people in my town were like very good at that point. So I decided that what I was going to do is I was going to spend the entire fall training to be on the team. And I would run around my little town with my lacrosse stick in my hand. Imagine you see somebody running down the street with like a huge lacrosse stick in their hand. Okay, that was me. I'm saying miles. Like I was really dedicated. I would do wall ball, if you know what that is, whatever. You throw the ball like tennis, you just practice with yourself.
yeah,
And I didn't make the team.
right.
And I was crying to the coach. I could say her name, but she knows who she is. I was crying to her. And she said, well, let's be honest, Rachel. You worked really hard. These other people have been playing for 10 years longer than you have. They've gone to summer camp for lacrosse every summer, X, Y, and Z. She said, you have a choice to make right now. You could quit lacrosse, or you could go be on the junior varsity team. We'd put you as the captain. You would play 100% of every game, and you have the choice right now.
Yeah,
So I thought long and hard about, really the ego and the pride and those kinds of things. And you could probably guess which one I did, but I did end up doing the junior varsity. I won most valuable player. I was the team captain, and I really had to get over myself.
yeah. Yeah. Wow, what a great story. It's so foundational. Because I remember that in high school. I was 4'11. I was tiny, so all I could do was run. And I tried so hard to get on varsity. I wanted to play baseball, but all these other people played for decades before me. So yeah, it's like it's an early lesson of where you have to start. You have to just swallow your pride and go for it if you want it.
You do, and I talk about that in my career transformation that I did during the pandemic. I went from a senior director to being an intern.
Yeah. So who's been your hero? Who's been that heroic force for you to become who you are?
Ooh. I'm very, very lucky. I've built a beautiful network here in Boston. And so, because I was in the startup world for so long, I do, and the corporate world, but really the innovation part of the corporate world, I have a lot of people who continue to reinvent themselves.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't need to like name specific names. I would say that sort of that general vibe
sure.
has just continued to push me. Um, and I call them my friend tours. They're my friends that are my mentors.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been very, very blessed with some really great friend tours. And to anybody who's listening, see if you can find a friend tour, a friend who's a mentor.
yeah. That's a
And
great.
and to me, they're a little more seasoned. They're sort of age doesn't really matter, but mine happened to be a decade to 15 years older than me,
Yeah.
sort of a different stage of life. Really, I have two small children right now. They're like, you're just in it right now. You'll move, you'll blink and it'll be over. And it's just sort of that level of support
Yeah.
that can help me see around the corner in a different way.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find inspirational, that you could learn from, that would help you on your journey, who would that be?
Whoa, one person alive that can help me on my that.
And it could be ghosts. It could be alive or
Should I
ghost.
say Oprah?
Yeah. See, there you go. I love it.
But I'm going to tell you why for Oprah.
Yeah.
Oprah, like and I actually like I never watched Oprah as a kid. I was like Oprah, like oh, I self-help, like whatever. Now as an adult, I see Oprah just like kick down doors.
Uh-huh.
Just said, I'm going to be the first black female producer, X, Y, and Z. I mean, she'll stories for days. You have to do your hair like this. She's like, nope, I'm going to do it like this.
Yep.
Nope, I'm going to go find this person. And here's the thing. She continues to reinvent herself.
Uh-huh.
And for why I would want to meet her is every interview she has. I mean, you get that sense from her. At least this is like I try to embody this myself. She's truly a learner.
Yeah.
And so to walk into a room and be like, I don't know what you know.
Yeah.
I, I don't know what your position is, but yeah. I'll tell you another story really quickly, which
Yeah.
is because I love stories, but yeah, I don't know what you don't know. I was on a flight a long time ago and this man was sitting next to me and he had very long legs. I said, you have really long legs. He said, I play basketball. I said, oh, cool. For who? He said, the Boston Celtics. Okay.
Yeah.
He had just been recruited. People might know him. He's a big baby. I mean, we had this like lovely, truly like a heart to heart conversation.
Yeah.
And at the end, he turned to me. He said, my favorite part of this is that you had no idea who I was.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's something that I really try to embody, which is like every person I talk to, I can learn from.
That's the thing I find with doing interviews is there's times where I just don't I know enough, but I don't want to get starstruck with things because I think that can throw things off. Like I interviewed someone recently that had a big epiphany because they were the masseuse for Paul McCartney. At the end of the interview, she said, "Thank you for not asking about that." And I wasn't really aware of it, and it's a great angle, but it's like those things that just yeah, and like with this athlete, like it's the CEO complex. Those CEOs have to get so tired of everybody groveling at their feet. They just because we're all human. You want to be treated like a human. You want to have genuine conversations. And when it's all kind of made into this facade of what can I do to look better or whatever, it just has to be fatiguing after a while.
Absolutely. I want to do, I'm going to do a shout out actually right now.
Okay?
So, I said of the three pillars, who I'm with, where I live, and now what I do. So my life is feels in a very, very beautiful place, and that's why I want to help others get there. And I don't take that for granted at all. Well, anyway, long story short, I yesterday, my wife won a very large award. She works at Harvard University.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful evening. I'm still like on the high of it from her. And the president of Harvard, opinions aside, was one of the funniest people
Yep.
on stage.
Yep.
He did not take himself, and I was sitting with two friends, and we said, he is so funny. I mean, he did not miss a beat. And I ended up looking him up yesterday and his story. And I said, oh my gosh, this is one of the probably, I mean, let's be honest, he's one of the 10 to 20 probably most influential people
Yeah.
as the president of Harvard, right?
Easy. Easy.
And just the ego was vanished.
Yeah. Well, that's why he's where he's at. And I remember that keynote that he just gave in response to all of this nonsense that's happening. And it was so cleverly woven together. So I got a good backbone of what he was
Oh
all
my gosh, he was hilarious.
about.
And I really, to be the president of a university, to be humble, to be funny, he was so genuinely present. I was just really blown away.
Yeah. The one thing about having a successful life and a good work relationship is what you do to balance it out. Like, what has been your overarching philosophy now, especially since you found this new career path and way? How do you balance your soul, your family, and taking care of business the best way possible?
I start with 3 cartwheels a day.
Yes.
So I am I'm the founder of Made for More Coaching. And I say that because Made for More Coaching helps women specifically, but I do help all kinds of people um, align their souls with their careers. So really leave soul sucking careers to be soul aligned.
Yeah.
And as I have said to my mentors and my advisory board, if I'm not doing this work in a soul aligned way, I got to call BS on myself.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of check-ins with myself. This is kind of how I ended up starting to do podcasts. Like I don't like, okay, we got to do our own marketing and we got to do the things. We got to get I couldn't do Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, Facebook ads. Maybe I'll get there, but that didn't feel I like a genuine connection. I like a human being like this.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about that constant check-in of am I soul aligned? How am I ever gonna help? And of course we all have our own ways of being hypocritical. I'm for sure not saying I'm perfect. But it's the doctor who's giving you advice and then you walk outside and you see the doctor smoking a cigarette. You're like,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah. What is this?
No
Yeah.
judgment, but like that diluted the advice a little
Uh-huh.
bit.
Uh-huh.
So I really do I do feel like I'm stepping into my light around trying to be have as much soul alignment because I'm not going to promise somebody I'll help you get soul aligned if I'm not continually working it on myself.
For
But
sure.
I have a lot of good daily habits. Like I wake up early, work out, meditate. It's taken years to get to that place, and it doesn't
Yeah.
happen every day, and it's not 100%. But for me, if I don't really start that's kind of how I am. If I don't start my morning in the right headspace, it's not going to be a great day.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. Let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into that 18-year-old version of you, getting ready to go out into the world and do it. And you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've accumulated. What advice would you impart on that young version of you?
Drop your expectations of what's going to be and embrace what is.
Yeah, very wise.
Because um, I work with a lot of young people, and it's I'm going to graduate at this age. I'm going to go to grad school at this age. I'm going to get married at this age. Life is going to happen, and it is going to be beautiful chaos. But very often, and I'm a therapist, right? So very often with clients, it's our resistance to what's happening
Yeah.
that is really the. I love the mantra that one of my mentors gave me, which is when you think you've surrendered, surrender some more.
That's
And
great.
that doesn't mean keep trying. And of
Right.
course, we all are going to work towards our goals and have good people around us and eat healthy. I mean, all the goals and all the dreams, but also like things are going to happen. So that's what I would say to my 18-year-old self, because I think I was really clinging to a very, very specific version of who I was going to be
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
very long time. And I think we all do. I mean, so many people I work with, especially as you get further and further into your career, no, I have this perception, I have to have this title. And I'm not saying everybody needs to make a radical change. That's one of the things I help people with is I help people figure out, I call it the McDonald's of career coaching, but I say, are we going to make a small, medium, or large change?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
those are you're going to be different price points, different anyway. There's going to be a lot of so that's what I would tell myself is change your expectations, live in the moment, surround yourself with the right people over and over again. And if they're not the right people, let them go.
Let him go. So at the end of the day, of everything that you've done, accomplished, and more importantly, evolved to, what are you the proudest of?
Um, I'm the proudest of being a mom of 2 children.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty open about this, which is that I went through a long and painful fertility journey to have my children.
Yeah.
And that is actually when the pandemic started, my son was a year old, and he's now 6, almost 7. And when I went back to work after he was born, I thought, I've changed, but the job hasn't.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started to have some dark nights of the soul and say, what am I doing? I have the title, I have good money, but and on my fertility journey, I had had so many deep moments with people. And I realized that's what I really love doing. And that's where I thrive. Honestly, that's actually where I've always thrived.
Yeah.
And when I ended up, many months later, like a year and a half later, I mean, change takes a long time. And telling my closest friends from growing up, because I'm very lucky. I went to the same school, K to 12. I have like some of my closest friends are my friends from kindergarten, truly. And I said, I'm going back to social work school. They're like, duh, of course you are. That's always been you.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
I am the proudest of being a mom of two, because they bring me obviously so much joy and love and light, and also because they were hard won,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they transformed my whole life. I didn't know that just the act of trying to have them would transform my life. I had no idea.
Yeah. That's the beauty of life. So let me ask you this. At the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I am a creative, resourceful hustler.
That could be a bumper sticker,
I-
right? Could totally be a bumper sticker. I love it. I love it. What a great story. If anyone wants to reach out, they want to hire you, any of the good business, where do they go?
It's Rachel Spekman, Spekman. There's no C in my last name. I tell everybody this. You can put it in the show notes. RachelSpekman.com.
Okay. Rachel, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate talking to you. It's been wonderful. You're a
Yes.
fantastic host. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Looking
it.
to get new clients to your business through cold calling or email marketing? At Agency Y, they envision a world in which small and big companies have equal chances to win new customers in the market. Their purpose is to bring parity and reduce the gap between large and small firms with the help of their cold calling and cold email marketing services. Use the code Joe Dimino 10 at www.agencyyyy.org/coldcallingjoe.php or www.agencyyyy.org/emailmarketingjoe.php to get 10% off your first order. This is Joe Dimino of Neon Jazz and Famous Interviews, and I stand behind Agency Y to meet your business dreams.